Chapter 2. Them bitches be crazy. The threesome broke through the tree line and stumbled right into a crowd of women. Most wore chief's cloaks, dyed in their tribal colors. They held ceremonial clubs like jables, and some waved them at the women in front. An auctioneer. The crowd was 6 deep, and Ziba pushed her way through as best she could. Sulan followed, crouching behind the weaver to go unnoticed. She dragged her one-time lover behind her. He looked nervous, surrounded by so many club-weaving warriors. "Sold!" they heard a shout. "To Chief Caliph, a wise prize, madame. You'll be seated in no time." Ziba made it through the last pair of thick thighs to the front row as they paraded the next lot in front of the buyers. An older man, disheveled, broken. That didn't bode well. "Right, who will give me 10 dinars for this fine specimen?" the auctioneer shouted, slapping the slave's backside for effect. He launched forward, almost falling over. "I'll give you 5, shouted a woman from the back. "Come on, you can do better than that." The auctioneer grabbed the man's penis and waved it from side to side. "Look at the cock on him. You could hang your club off it. He's worth at least 10 dinar. "Who'll give me 10? Ziba turned and whispered to Sulong. "There's only 2 lots left after this one." In the cages at the center of the clearing, 2 naked men sat in what little shade they could find, huddled in one corner. It was hard to tell their condition from this distance. Close enough, though, to smell rank urine and sweat. Sulong squinted into the sun that reflected off the river this long after mid-sun. Beyond the cages, traders had set up shop alongside the riverbank. Their wares included weaponry, clothes, animals, and preserved foods. Rafts were moored to the simple pier that poked into the fast-flowing waterway. Across the far bank, the valley flattened out into savanna and scrub. "Selling, are we?" The query came from an official-looking woman toting a bag of rattling dinar and wearing a no-nonsense expression. She spotted their man and strolled over. "She looks full of herself," Solon whispered to Ziba. "Shush!" Ziba replied. "Let me handle this." "Well, we're hoping to swap." "Swap?" the woman laughed. "Did you hear that? They want to swap! Just enjoy trying out the merchandise, do you? Come back for another sample?" "Well, no, it's just that this one we bought 2 moons back, well, his seed didn't take root." "Is that right? What a shame. But that's not our problem, is it? Just geld him and use him as a general slave. He seems fit." She stepped past Ziba and eyed the man. "Droopy, mind you. And I see the end of his cock's as red as a rooster cub. Which one of you's been fucking him then, eh?" Luckily for Sulon, her ebony skin masked her blushing cheeks. Ziba ignored the inquisition and explained. "We have enough deballed ones." Other women were taking notice of the conversation, and she wished she hadn't pushed her way to the front. The old decrepit slave had just sold for 8 dinar, and the auctioneer looked none too happy as she left to retrieve the next one from the cage. "Good for you," the official said. "So, sell this one and see what you can buy. We can squeeze him in as the last lot today. It's a 3 dinar fee if he sells or not. Time is money, you know. Oh, and there's the usual 2 dinar buyer's fee, on top of whatever you pay for another one, if there's anything there you fancy." She gestures over the cage with a flick of her head. "So, we can swap him then?" "No, you can't fucking swap him. Mother's sake, how would we make a living if all you bitches just come here and swapped men? You sell, and you buy, and we charge, and you pay. You don't get out much, do you?" She grabbed Ziba's hand, checking her fingers. "Weaver. Ha! Explains it." This was not going well. But Ziba did not want to return home empty-handed. Chief Jabo was already in a foul mood. As she struggled to think of a solution, a cry went up from the riverbank. "It's the sisterhood! Run!" Pandemonium broke out. The crowd split 10 different ways, women sprinting and shouting, most disappearing into the tree line. Official and auctioneer ran to the cages and sprung the locks. The remaining men looked up, squinting in the sun, perplexed. "Go on! It's your lucky day! Fuck off!" the auctioneer shouted and started beating them towards the open door with her club. Ziba turned to Sulon and their own slave. "Untie him, quick, before the sisters get here." "What? Then we'll have nothing. Who are these sister bitches anyway?" A raft was mooring, or at least attempting to moor. A sizable woman, dressed in black, wobbled on unsteady feet, her weight causing the raft to tilt. Several other black-clad women were trying to steer the oars. Their leaders shouted instructions with such volume that they could hear her from the market. "Left a bit! No, left! You useless wenches! We're losing the element of surprise! Just get me up this mother-saken raft already!" Ziba grabbed the manslave and picked at the knots binding his hand. Sulan, stop arguing! They'll kill him! The sisterhood is crazy! She struggled with the knots, glancing over her shoulder at the approaching gang. You haven't been listening to the tribal councils, have you? They turned up in our lands a few moons ago. They kill men on sight and punish anyone that keeps them. That, my lovely, is you and I at the moment. With some reluctance, Sulan bent down to free the slave's legs. Unbound, he stood there, blinking. Go! Ziba shouted at him and raised her hand to give him a swift slap. That got his attention, and he turned tail and scampered away into the trees. Along with anyone else, Ziba noticed. The slave market and trading stalls were empty of people. It was as if nobody was ever there. But the empty cages were proof of what had been going on, and only she and Sulan were left to answer for it. It was time they left. I liked him! Sulan complained in her sulky voice. But Ziba had no time to either admonish her or commiserate. The lead woman in black robes had arrived, her troops close behind her. She unrolled a parchment with such ceremony. The sisterhood pronounces you guilty of man-keeping, man-trading, and man-fucking, she declared with glee. Her followers were not far behind, swinging what looked to be very rare metal swords. Lunatics, Ziba thought, but dangerous lunatics and well-funded. Metal doesn't come cheap. The lead sister was pig ugly, no two ways about it. A white skin, her pudgy, spotty face glared out from under the black cloak. A maze of dilated red vessels on her nose announced a med addiction. Before Ziba could put her diplomatic skills into action, Sulan spoke up. She'd had enough of being told off today, and she'd just watched her plaything run off on account of this old hag and her thugs. What's wrong with keeping men? She asked, pulling herself up to full height. Oh shit, don't, Ziba whispered. What's wrong? The hag's face darkened and her eyes blazed. What's wrong with... Do you even know who we are? You little cocksucker. You're in a world of trouble. But just in case you're so stupid that your question is genuine, is it written in the stars that men will be the downfall of the mother world? The downfall of the mother herself. She paused and used both arms to cross her lower belly in a sign of reverence. If we let them live, even as slaves, they'll plot and they'll plot scheme, speaking to each other in man's tongue, until one day, when they're strong enough, yes, even the deballed ones, they'll attack us, and the mother will fall from her sky cave. She crossed her belly again. It is written in the stars. Her sword-swinging companion stood either side of her now and echoed her. It is written in the stars. No, it's not, Sulan said. We use the stars on night hunts. I've seen no such thing written in them. You fucking blasphemous little ballsack! The hag spat venomously. Get them, sisters! The acolytes raised their swords and lunged forward. Run! Ziba shouted, and Sulan didn't need to be told twice. They turned and sprinted for the trees. Even Ziba, at 40 winters, was fast when she needed to be. Man-lovers! The sister screamed after them, but the two fugitives were already bashing their way through the undergrowth. It took a while for their eyes to adjust to the dim jungle again, but they dared not slow. A lasting image of raised swords drove them on. After a time, Ziba had to rest, and she collapsed into a patch of soft moss. Sulan stood over her, panting. Shush! Listen! Ziba put a finger to her lips. They waited a full minute, but the only noises were the usual forest ones. Birds, bugs, and the breeze through the canopies. Mother mercy, I think we're safe, she wheezed as Sulan collapsed next to her. You run fast for an old lady. I'm not so old! Just because I don't go around lifting my skirts and fucking men whenever I fancy, doesn't mean I'm past it. Well, neither of us can do that now, Sulan moaned and kicked at the moss with her toe. What a bunch of crazies! Does the chief know about them? Sulan, dear, everyone knows about them, except you. What about your friend, Mosh? She mentioned nothing? Nah, she only tells me stuff about men, and fucking, and hunting. You know, important stuff. Oh, mother, Ziba sighed and rested her head back against the moth. I don't understand, though. Sulan sat up. How can they say we should kill all men? I know bald men are dangerous, sure, that's why we never deal with them alone, right? But we need their baby seed, or there'd be no babies. You are correct. It is the burden the mother has seen fit to give us. But the sisterhood believes that it's a conspiracy of men, a secret plot, and if we killed all the men, it would free us from the burden and the mother would bless us with babies. No seed needed. Sulan considered this for a while before laying her head in the moss next to Ziba and mumbling, "That's fucking crazy. Everyone knows women can't have babies without men spitting baby seed in them. That should be written in the stars." They both laughed. "Just give me longer to rest," Ziba said. "Then we better head back, empty-handed, I'm afraid." A short time later, the weaver and the hunter had fallen into a light doze when a crashing of branches woke both. A lone figure burst through the undergrowth. Sulan leaped to her feet and smashed her hand axe down on the back of the intruder's head. Because she had not identified her target as friend or foe, she had the presence of mind to flip her axe so the bud, not the blade, felled her quarry. Both women sprang to their feet. A middle-aged man lay curled in a fetal position on the forest floor, holding his bloody head in both hands and whimpering. I think he was the last one at the auction," Sulan said, kneeling beside him for a closer look. She turned him over onto his back and then smiled up at her fellow tribeswoman. "Balls! He's got balls, Ziba! We're in luck!"